Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're embarking on a super fascinating journey to unravel some of the most dense, tragic, and honestly utterly captivating lore within the world of the Clover Kingdom. If you're someone who loves stories where the line between hero and villain completely blurs, where ancient history dictates present-day chaos, and where deep secrets are just hiding in plain sight, well, you are in for an incredible ride. We're going to break down this complex narrative piece by piece, keeping the whole shebang crystal clear.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this idea is the beating heart of our entire explainer. You know, when we look at conflicts, it's so easy to see things in black and white, right? The defenders of the kingdom are obviously the good guys, and the invaders are the bad guys. But in the real world, and especially in this kingdom, history is usually written by the victors. As we explore the dark past of the Clover Kingdom, we're going to discover that the central mystery is way more complicated than it seems. I mean, what happens when the terrorists threatening the peace are actually just seeking justice for a stolen past?
Section 1. The Midnight Sun Rises.
So to really understand how this massive conflict erupts, we first have to look at the surface-level threat that kicks off all the chaos. Darkness had really begun to creep across the Clover Kingdom, and it took the form of this rogue group, the Eye of the Midnight Sun. Their magic was incredibly powerful, and their hatred for the kingdom ran astonishingly deep. They were led by a mysterious man cloaked in light who spoke constantly of vengeance. To him and his followers, the Clover Kingdom wasn't some land of peace. They believed it was an empire built entirely on betrayal and blood. But while most citizens just saw them as everyday terrorists, their actual goal was hyper-specific. They were hunting down these strange magic stones, ancient relics pulsing with immense magical energy.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because the Wizard King himself, Julius Novachrono, noticed a seriously terrifying escalation. What started out as isolated attacks on small villages and towns quickly evolved into incredibly bold, highly coordinated strikes on heavily guarded temples, ultimately targeting the royal capital itself. The enemy was closing in on their goals, forcing the kingdom's defenders, the Magic Knights, to mobilize. The tension was just ramping up, leading directly to a massive confrontation over one of these magical relics.
Section 2. Battle for the Stone.
The Magic Knights definitely began to push back, which led to a pivotal mission for the Black Bull Squad. They were ordered to secure a magic stone hidden away in a peaceful underwater temple protected by ancient enchantments and inhabited by water mages. Led by Yami, the squad actually treated this life-or-death mission like a fun beach vacation at first. They even jumped into a cheerful tournament set up by the temple's high priest. But yeah, the fun instantly evaporated when the Eye of the Midnight Sun literally crashed the competition. The Coral Halls turned into an absolute battlefield. The Bulls found themselves face-to-face with Veto, an enemy leader whose magic was literally built on despair. His monstrous power systematically crushed the team. Magna fell, then luck. It was just a terrifying display of overwhelming force.
But right in the face of that absolute despair, we get this incredible thematic anchor for the whole story. When all hope seemed totally lost, the squad remembered these exact words from their captain Yami. "Surpass your limits right here and now." This quote is absolutely crucial. It wasn't just a quick pep talk, it was a catalyst. Vanessa used her thread magic to redirect attacks. Luck and Magna combined their powers for a massive explosion, and Noelle unleashed a brand new spell, a gigantic sea dragon's roar. This collective push past their limits completely set the stage for their newest member to finish the job.
Battered and bleeding, Asta charged in one final time. Hearing Yami's words echoing in his head, Asta used his anti-magic sword to completely pierce through Veta's final devastating attack, ending the brutal battle once and for all. The team was exhausted, their bodies were broken, but their spirits were fully alive. This victory is such a perfect microcosm of the hero's larger struggle. By protecting the stone, they proved their worth as true Magic Knights. But actually scratch that. As Yami noted, they had only won a single battle. The real war was heading straight for the royal capital.
Section 3. The Betrayal and Sacrifice.
Now, what's really interesting about this is, well, we need to slow things down for a second. Because while the battle at the temple was a straightforward fight for survival, what happened next at the royal capital completely shattered the foundation of the Clover Kingdom. Just picture this stark contrast, two souls sharing one single body. During the invasion of the capital, the Wizard King, Julius Novachrono, made a shocking discovery. He realized that one of his own most trusted captains, William Vengeance, was directly connected to the leader of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. Julius confronted him alone, and William removed his mask to reveal the truth. On one side, you have the noble human captain. On the other, Licht, a reincarnated elf, carrying centuries of blinding rage. William willingly stepped aside, allowing Licht to take full control of his body.
This triggered a massive clash of fundamental opposites over the very fate of the kingdom.
Julius used time magic, moving faster than sight and freezing entire moments in an instant. Licht countered with light magic, filling the sky with blinding flashes. But the true difference here was their strategy. The crazy part is how Julius absolutely refused to kill William. Despite his incredible strength, he desperately wanted to save both souls trapped in that body. Licht, on the other hand, driven by centuries of vengeance, he held absolutely nothing back and struck to kill.
And tragically, that strategic difference proved fatal. Licht pierced Julius's chest with a devastating final attack. But even as the city fell silent, the Wizard King smiled. Why? Because he had used the very last ounce of his strength to store time within his grimoire, unleashing it to save everyone in the capital from Licht's destruction. Julius Novacrano died standing, his cloak fluttering in the wind, protecting the people below who were completely unaware of his monumental sacrifice. The kingdom deeply mourned their leader for sure, but the tragedy was far from over.
Section 4. The Elven Rebirth.
The Wizard King's death was literally just the trigger. The Eye of the Midnight Sun activated their final plan, and the results were immediate and absolutely devastating. Across the entire kingdom, strange marks suddenly appeared on the bodies of many of the magic knights themselves. Their eyes glowed as foreign souls forcibly took over their bodies. Instantly, the kingdom plunged into absolute chaos. Captains were forced to battle their own subordinates. Friends viciously turned against friends. Asta watched in sheer horror as the people he knew and trusted transformed into enemies right before his eyes. Even his rival Yuno was revealed to carry an elf soul within him, though Yuno miraculously managed to resist its control. And here is where the horrifying historical truth finally comes to light. The elves had been reborn. The Eye of the Midnight Sun wasn't just a random enemy force, they were the reincarnated souls of a slain elven race, returning to claim justice. Long ago, the ancestors of the Clover Kingdom had brutally betrayed and massacred the elves just to steal their magic stones and build their own empire. It's a chilling reminder that the history we read is usually written by the oppressors, not the victims. The vengeance the Eye of the Midnight Sun sought was terrifyingly real. In the midst of this overwhelming despair, the Black Bulls just refused to give in. Their incredibly strong bonds became their greatest weapon. Luck regained his senses after a fierce, emotional battle with Magna and Vanessa, their pure friendship literally breaking through the elven control. But ironically, it was Asta, a boy born with absolutely zero magic in a highly magical world, whose unique anti-magic became the skeleton key to fighting back. He used his sword to physically cut through the reincarnation magic, freeing his possessed allies one by one. And right alongside him, Noel's water magic evolved into a massive weapon of royal might, proving that the current generation of knights would not just roll over.
Section 5. The Ultimate Demonic Threat.
But just when it seemed like the truth was fully exposed, the explainer takes one final, completely shocking turn. We have to look at the true mastermind behind centuries of systemic betrayal. Amidst the endless fighting, this strange black anti-bird that had always followed Asta around suddenly revealed its true identity. Yes, the pesky little bird that had been nesting in Asta's hair this entire time was actually a 500-year-old magical servant named Secre. She had served the very first Wizard King, Lumiere, hundreds of years ago. She was actually there on the day of the massacre, and she finally revealed to everyone the complete truth of what went down on that tragic day.
And this brilliantly illustrates the final devastating layer of this history. Seekers revealed that yes, the ancestors betrayed the elves, but behind that betrayal was a hidden hand. A demonic force, a literal devil born from the shadows of the underworld, had deliberately twisted the events to manufacture this intense, centuries-long hatred between humans and elves. The elves were entirely manipulated into reincarnating for a revenge that served only the devil's dark purposes. When their true memories returned, the elves, including Licht, realized they had been used all over again.
Which brings us to our final big question for today. When the true enemy is revealed, can centuries of manufactured hatred actually be overcome to save the world? Once the devil's plot was exposed, the lines between enemy and ally just vanished. Licht turned his tremendous power away from the kingdom and toward the real enemy lurking in the shadows. Ultimately, Asta, Yuno, Secre, Licht, and the others were forced to join together for a final battle to determine the fate of their world. It leaves us pondering. When faced with an ultimate manipulative evil, is shared humanity and elvenhood enough to heal the wounds of the past? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep seeking the truth behind the history.